Everybody, audio's working, and we're back with another installment of TEW, along with our Dark Side of the Ring companion. This week is a very special episode. We have got Road Warrior Hawk, which we've had for a little while, and now we have Road Warrior Animal, and we're going to be booking the Road Warriors. The last ride of the Road Warriors is what the Dark Side of the Ring is titled. Hopefully, we can get a chance to kind of improve the behaviors of Hawk a little bit, and maybe we can make that ride last a real long time. Um, I paid an obscene amount of money for the Road Warriors to come work for me. Um, they're both getting paid like I think collectively they're probably getting paid a little bit over what Ric Flair is getting paid, but they both are making like 100K plus a year now at this point. I did book the very finals of our women's championship tournament. Came down to Jacqueline Moore and Luna Vachon. Um, I moved the game ahead a few weeks off stream just to get the ball rolling on us actually having the Road Warriors and Brett in so we could start to build for Brett's storyline, which I think is going to be like the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels um, kind of feud is going to be our conclusion of our Dark Side of the Ring, companion pieces. It's been a great run. We are nearing the end of it. I still need to build up Brett a bit. Right now, Brett is fighting Ivan Koloff in a regular match. He's going to be the victor after 15 minutes. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin fighting Terry Funk in a wild brawl. Simmons and Abdullah going at it. So, yeah, we got a nice little card put together here. We'll go through all the matches. But yeah, that's what we got going on. Here, let's just start it up. I just pre-booked this entire pay-per-view so that we could have something to do right away when we got on here. We got Vic and Ray. Okay, yeah, we already knew about that. Yamada is just great, dude. We need to get him, you know, some some heat or some momentum here. Paul Diamond and Rockin' Rebel. Ooh, Rebel. Damn. Okay. Okay. Luna and Jacqueline have great performances, great chemistry together. It's a shame that I wasn't able to get one of them elevated to at least recognizable levels, just so that I could have it be on the main card. But we see Luna Vachon here winning the world title, um, the women's world title. I should have actually put that on the line here, but as part of the championship, she'll be crowned the women's champion there. Let's see. Huge battle royal. Ted DiBiase was able to come out on top. Um, it's just something we had to do to keep all of our guys busy so that nobody's complaining about not getting used on the pay-per-view event here. Yeah, a 100. Ric Flair and Kurt Hennig. Good show. Good show. Jolly good show. Dula and Simmons here managed to put on a 65. Funkin' Austin, nice work. Okay, an 81. 81 by Hart and Koloff. Very good on the Cerebral Assassin gimmick for Bret Hart. We're going to be slowly introducing him as the leader of the Canadian Stampede or the Hart Foundation faction. Um, nice, nice. Miss Elizabeth helps Sting out during that segment. And here's the Road Warriors segment here. So we got a good match. The Road Warriors defeating the Enforcers of Evil with a Doomsday device. So yeah, Hawk and Animal come in and they not short work, I wouldn't say, but they make some work out of our boys Raven and Born Again, working under Undertaker. Let's see, cool. Got a decent match going on here. Taz and Wyndham. Taz was able to pull off the victory. Wyndham had a 79 in terms of performance. Really nice. All right. Dusty versus Taker. Pillman versus Roberts. Nice match. Shawn versus Owen was real nice match with a bit of a lack of psychology. But yeah, 91 overall. That's pretty good. Foley had a 96. Dude, Foley is head and shoulders above everybody else. He's crazy. Okay. We had Steamboat and Lawler, Sting and Sullivan, Taker and Rhodes, and Ricky Steamboat defeated Jerry Lawler. And a 92 overall. Whew! Ric Flair, Kurt Hennig, 99 overall. Let's see what our final score is here. These are a couple of post matches. A 97. A 97 overall. That's not bad. Yeah. All right. Good show. Let's see. We have Rick and Kurt to thank for our best show of the night. Ricky and Jerry. Ted and okay. Yeah, let me do Ricky Steamboat and Jerry Lawler. Kurt's already got loyalty to us, so not much else we got to do for Mr. Perfect. He's happy. All right. With that match or that show out of the way, let's start our companion here, and we'll get towards booking some more Road Warriors action.
They had that power. They had put it all together. It was a total package.
The face paint, the shoulder pads, and jacked to the sky, man, they trained their asses off. I mean, they hit the ring like badasses.
We were two badasses trying to be wrestlers. They were wrestlers trying to be badasses.
They were just like the guys in Mad Max. I mean, they were meaner than the guys in Mad Max.
In the history of professional wrestling, no duo has dominated the ring like Hawk and Animal. The Road Warriors.
When we
can get Mike Graham in. We have
like
one
Godzilla.
more episode we can do.
You look at them and you went, holy shit, I hope they don't kill me. They were legitimate tough guys.
They
I'll say all
clawed their
together,
way to the top,
we have
becoming one of wrestling's biggest attractions.
Mike Graham,
But an unrelenting lifestyle for
Chris
one
Candido,
ultimately led
and
to their
then
downfall.
the finale coming up.
Partied hard, played hard, he lived hard.
That switch would flip after the match and bam!
I woke up this morning. This is where I felt sick.
It becomes a way out as well as an escape.
You'll feel like you want to be dead when we're done with you.
I love how the WWF is still running the Hart family.
Road Warrior Hawk
Who's in it?
unexpectedly passed away of a suspected heart attack.
I literally cried like a baby. I mean, that was my friend. I've been through hell and back with this guy.
The Hart family is Brutus Beefcake,
The art
Butch
of
Reed,
tag team
and
wrestling
Steve
engages
Williams.
fans in a dynamic, far more complex way than one-on-one
Oh,
matches.
man.
The greatest tag team duos in history share a sixth sense, operating as two halves of one whole. There's no one without the other. And no team proves that more than Mike
Maybe
Hawk
we'll pick up
Hagstrand
Steve Williams and we'll
and
do the
Joe
Brawl for
Animal
All
Laurinaitis.
as well.
In an era dominated by iconic
that.
personalities,
Just what exactly goes through the Road Warrior's mind?
whose singles matches were the star attraction, the Road Warriors would break the mold as comic book heroes come to life and post-apocalyptic warriors beyond the realms of Earth.
The most important thing to us has always been beating people up.
Their larger-than-life personas propelled them to main event status around the world, winning titles wherever they went. But the price for success is often high. And in this episode, we reveal the heavy cost paid by both men and how their wrestling brotherhood met its heartbreaking end.
I think tag team wrestling is the most interesting part of the wrestling business. Tag team wrestling is an art. It's a four-person athletic dance. A Road Warrior Animal, one half of the greatest tag team ever in the history of professional wrestling. The Road Warriors.
There's more of a story told with the tag team than there is the single. You can't just put two guys together and make them a tag. You have to have two guys that really know each other. My name is Barry Darso. I was the Repo Man and Demolition Smash And I always thought we had incredible matches with the Road Warriors.
Oh,
What made
hell
the
yeah.
Road Warriors
Austin and
successful was
Sean
there were
are
two
friends,
guys that really
dude.
clicked. Everybody believed that they could beat anybody.
That's beautiful.
And they looked incredible.
I saw the it. These two have the it factor. Paul Ellering, manager of the Road Warriors for 20-some years. The Road Warriors, it's a group that comes along once in every generation, and they're always copied, never duplicated.
Hawk and Animal are just two no-nonsense badasses. Hawk was the off-the-wall flyer guy, and Animal was like, the buck stops here. Most teams had one big guy and one little guy. Here you got two freaking monsters.
They could do things in the ring that prior to them big
Paul
guys
Ellering, too.
didn't do.
Nikita Koloff, not from Russia, although that's what I portrayed for many years in the wrestling business.
It was the chemistry of tag team, picking the guy up the shoulder and coming off the top rope.
The Doomsday, you know, he flew off of the top turnbuckle, and that was the ultimate finish in wrestling for decades. They knew what each other one was thinking all the time, but sometimes Animal knew more than Hawk as far as what was going on.
Joe was much more patient than Mike was. Again, you hear some of the stories, right, of how Mike would snap in an instant or fly off the handle.
Oh yeah, man, we got along instantly. I was like 18 years old, and I knew of Mike Hegstrand, known as a loose cannon, tough guy.
In 1977, Mike Hagstrand and Joe Laurinaitis are two kids growing up on the streets of Northeast Minneapolis, a tough working-class neighborhood.
You know, I was at Jesse the Body Ventura's gym. And I'm sitting there, and I'm doing inclines. And I got like 315 pounds on the bar, and all of a sudden, in the middle of my set, I get this whack on my chest, this big fat palm print. And he goes, "Laurinaitis, you ain't right. You should be lifting more weights than me." That was my meeting with Mike Hegstrand.
This is a grade school photo of Mike, and he was voted class bully.
Yeah, you can see it there.
I think that was staged, but.
Mike's reputation in school was a scrapper. His idea of a good time was to go beat up someone. Just stay away from him. He'll be a great friend to you, but don't cross him. I'm Rich Hegstrand, Mike's older brother.
And I'm Dan Hagstrand. I was 4 years younger than Mike.
Mike was a lost soul as far as what am I going to do and everything. And our mom had passed away.
Bro, you can do it.
But he obviously found his way, but it was a bit of a road to get there.
He was hyperactive. He didn't sit still. You know, if he was sitting still, his leg was bouncing up and down, and you know, he had a lot of energy to lift weights, punch people.
Yeah.
The way we put it is I'm from the other side of the tracks, and Hawk was pretty much...
Okay. As they're going on about their introductory stuff about the Road Warriors here, I want to take a quick second to kind of hype what I'm doing with them. So the first thing they came in, we saw them come in, they debuted on the pay-per-view. Wow, Animal's here, holy hell, we have both the Road Warriors. Hawk's been here for a little while. He's been doing good. He's got some heat, some momentum, as a babyface, but ultimately they're not the same with just one or the other. The Road Warriors are a package deal, so we've got them reunited. Now that the fans are behind them, they are going to have an angle with the Steiner brothers. The Steiners are another face tag team that we've got, so it's going to be an interesting battle. I do have it on storytelling because there is a story to be told here, even though it's face versus face. There's going to be a little tension between the two faces. The Road Warriors have come in and, kind of right away got themselves working towards a title shot. They're told if they beat the Steiner brothers here, they can get a title shot. And then also that, they kind of moved in, and Paul Ellering was the Steiner brothers manager. Well, Paul goes way back with the Road Warriors. So it's only natural that he's gonna he's going to leave the Steiners. So that's what the Steiners are going to come out and say. They're going to come out and be like, hey, our manager left us, da-da-da-da-da. They're upset. They're not going to be acting heelishly, but they're going to be pretty upset. They're going to have a little bit of choice words for the Road Warriors. They might be the only, other than some of the other tag teams, the only ones here not quite happy to see the Road Warriors. So they'll have a bit to talk to them about, and they'll put it out there that they want to challenge the Road Warriors and prove they're the better tag team, regardless of what Ellering thinks. Scott and Rick are going to put it all out on the line. Road Warrior Hawk is going to go over in this one. Animal went over in the first one. So, yeah, they are going to end up victorious and getting their title shot next week. Hopefully we will have time to put that into this episode as well. If not, it'll be in the very next one. But yeah, so that is what we're working on with the Road Warriors right now. They're going to come in. They're going to defeat the Steiner brothers, take their manager, and go on a little bit of a reign of terror.
Toughest guy on his side of tracks, and I was pretty much the toughest guy on my side of tracks. My name is Scott Norton. I'm a professional wrestler from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I grew up with Mike Hangstrand, known as Hawk. He was going to kind of like mark his territory in each school. So he got in a little brawl with a guy from South High School. Knocked his ass out. Got one with a guy from North High School. Knocked him out. Went to West. Same thing. And he would condition himself. He would punch himself in the face. And I mean, it wasn't just I don't even want to hit my hand that hard. Fractures between each one of his teeth. Basically broke his face.
Their hard-hitting lifestyle growing up in northeast Minneapolis would serve as a training ground for their careers in the ring. And their circle of friends soon expands to include a massively talented roster of future superstars.
Pretty interesting that in Minneapolis was just a mecca of guys who ended up in the crazy, wacky world of professional wrestling. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, the Road Warriors, and John Nord and Barry Darsow.
Nikita Koloff, Rick Rude, Scott Norton too, right around the same time. We all knew of each other. We got closer as Hawk would ask me to fill in working at this bar, Grandma B's, down in Minneapolis.
It's at one of Minneapolis's toughest bars that Joe and Mike get a chance to cut their teeth.
Paid the bills, and it was a perfect outlet for him, I guess you might say.
And why was that?
Just because he could beat up people and get paid for it, I mean, it was just like wrestling. So.
Oh, yeah.
I can't mention any names, but the guy that used to own the bar we used to bounce at, he dealt in coke, and when someone owed him a lot of money, they'd say, hey, man, you need to go have a conversation with this guy. I remember one time, Hawk had one leg, I had the one leg of the guy, and we were hanging him over the Franklin Avenue Bridge here in Minneapolis and said, listen, man, you need to freaking pay up.
At Grandma B's, there was a strip bar in the afternoon, and then they'd always have wet t-shirt contests and everything. So, I mean, it brought some of the worst guys. Every night something happened.
Lo and behold, the bartender was Ed Sharkey. I knew of Ed Sharkey before because he wrestled for Vern Gagne in the AWA. And he comes up to us and he goes, hey, we're gonna do a wrestling school. You guys wanna do it? And we all looked at each other and said, man, I don't know if I wanna do that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what can it hurt?
My name is Eddie Sharkey. I've been in the wrestling business for, most of my life. Starting on a carnival, I've been a professional wrestler, referee, promoter, trainer. I've done just about everything.
Eddie ended up having a church in northeast Minneapolis, and he had a boxing ring downstairs.
Eddie was a character. He'd sit out there and he'd go, yeah, guys, good tackle, good drop kick or good whatever. But Eddie really never got out of his chair.
Well, if I would leave the room or something, I said, now don't try a suplex. I mean, you're going to hurt yourself. And I'd walk out of the room for whatever reason, and the one's got the other up in the air, and oh my goodness.
Ed never showed us how to throw what they call today a working punch. So we would literally back up and go, bam, and punch each other. His nose would be broken and it's bleeding like crazy.
Eddie never really smartened us up on exactly what was going on until after a while.
Trained us, but he didn't smarten us up.
Here's what you do.
Eddie soon realizes that this promising crop of talent might have a future in the squared circle.
Ole Anderson was a very, very good wrestler. Another Minnesota guy, and he became a promoter. He worked for Ted Turner, so he was the main guy. And he came up to Grandma B's.
One night, some guy was misbehaving and I had to escort him out. Well, I had one hand behind his collar and one hand on his belt loop, and I threw him through the front door. And we had this tripwire outside. And we used to gauge each other by how many flips the guy could do around this wire. And when the guy gets done flipping, he lands right on Ole Anderson's shoes. And all I did is say, hey, how you doing? And I turned around and went back in the bar. Next thing you know, Ole brings me down to Atlanta.
While Ole recruits Joe to work in his Georgia territory, his future tag team partner has already been scouted by another promotion.
Mike started first for Al Tomko up in Canada.
Now, you men up there that are married to some good-looking wife, you know, when your wife takes a look at this man, she's gonna go crazy.
I went down for Ole Anderson as the Road Warrior singularly by myself. I look like a giant version of the Village People.
Now, keep in mind, when Joe broke into the business, he had got his girlfriend pregnant, and Joe did the right thing. And by that meaning, he got married, and because he wanted to, you know, raise his child.
You know, I was sending all my money that I was making back home. I was wrestling 9 times a week, making $150 total. You know, I lost 50 pounds of body weight. I said, I can't live off this. And Mike's experience wasn't that great up in Vancouver, so we both came back to Minnesota. I actually could make more money in one night bouncing than I was making working there in 2 weeks. Ole Anderson came back into the bar, and Ed Sharkey showed him a picture that Mike had taken up in Vancouver. Ole thought it was a picture of me. Eddie Sharkey goes, no, that's not Joe, that's Mike. And Ole goes, there's 2 of these guys?
Joe and Mike, they're a tag team. Be in Atlanta next week.
You go, son of a bitch. And then Ole called me up and says, hey, I want to bring you guys in as the Road Warriors.
From rough and tumble beginnings in the Minneapolis bar scene, Joe and Mike are about to be catapulted into superstardom and eventually towards their own undoing. In 1983, Joe Laurinaitis and Mike Hagstrand are recruited to wrestle in Georgia, except this time as a tag team. They have no idea they're about to revolutionize the world of wrestling.
Hawk, thanks for spending a few moments with us. What got you started in wrestling?
I just started watching it one time, and I thought if they could, I could do it better. And first time we appeared together on TV, you know, we were both real green.
And the Road Warriors moving on.
The start of the Road Warriors on TV was like surreal for Hawk and I, because it was like, man, here's all these mega stars of Georgia Championship Wrestling. There's Sergeant Slaughter, and there's Tito Santana, and there's Dusty Rhodes, and I'm going, holy crap, there's some major superstars here. And then here we are, now we're a part of this.
Upon their arrival in the territory, matchmaker Ole Anderson approaches his new tag team with a bold new idea.
They actually handed us the belts what we got at the TV station. They say, here's your belt, and we're going, where do we say we want them? They say, saying you want them in a tag team tournament in Chicago.
From Chicago. Well, he says, this is going to be the new tag team, and they're Minnesota boys like you. Take care of them. The names, they both came up with themselves. I think Ole pointed at him, he says, you look like an animal. And then he said to Hawk, you look like, I forget what he said, but Hawk says, I think I'm a hawk. So it became Animal and Hawk.
After their very first match together, newly crowned champions Hawk and Animal soon joined forces with Paul Ellering. He acts as both their on and off-screen manager, leading them to the big leagues.
So I just took them from that day one. They jumped in my van, and that was it.
Paul was great at fine-tuning us. You know, he said, go with your raw strength, to go with what you do best.
We used to sit there at Denny's, and Paul would take the time to draw on a napkin. Animal, you're here. Hawk, you're here. Throw this guy into this ropes after you make the tag. Hawk, you drop down. Let's incorporate that in. We had the motorcycle boots and everything, you know, and that's what we wore down to the ring. After about a month, Ole goes, hey, we got an idea for you guys. Remember the heel guy in the Road Warrior movie that had the red mohawk and the feather in his ear? Well, we want you to try and do something with the face paint.
And that became an evolution, because the early face paint was, you know, like a black eye or something.
But we were trying different things at that time to try to get a painting of expressing the way we feel. And Mike Hegstrand goes, hey, I got another idea. What if Animal shaves his hair into a mohawk to look like the guy in the movie? I'll shave my head in a double mohawk, so when Animal bends over and I bend over and we plug our heads in, it looks like one unit.
How did the spiked shoulder pads kind of work its way into the fold?
You know, that came from Animal. That was his idea, and it was genius on his part.
A friend of
Superb
mine
wrestling.
that worked for Honeywell milled me some spikes. I said, listen, man, I
93
need some 6-inch
overall.
spikes. I want
94
some
from
4-inch
Ted.
spikes, some 2-inch
89
spikes.
from
And I
Brett.
sat in my garage with my drill, and
Beautiful.
I drilled holes in those shoulder pads. Look at my thumb like freaking Picasso, right? Then I put some chains on them, and that was
So
the birth
Steiner
of the
came
Road
across
Warrior
well.
They put them on, and it was just
Okay.
frosting on
Hawk
the
and
cake.
Ellering and
you know, the people that
don't
skated
really
up,
work together,
these
so I
poor
think
guys they're working against. I mean, they
I
ran
think we'll end
over.
up later
Marcus
on
apologized
probably
to
getting
them in
Ellering back
so I don't know what's
assigned
gonna
to the
happen to you now,
Steiners.
but your ass is getting kicked.
They were
Okay.
bad boys, but when they were bad, they were very good.
Man, as long as
Yeah,
we stayed
they
away
don't
from
work
the
together.
guy's nuts
They
and
don't
we
work
didn't break their nose
whatsoever.
or anything,
Jeez.
it was cool. But if you look back, some of those
Nice.
clotheslines we hit guys
99.
with, guys were doing natural flips. We were hitting them so hard.
And
Cable was spreading
that's
across
the
the
finish.
country.
97
It was creating a
overall for this show here.
in the wrestling
Great match
business.
with the Steiners and the Road
Unlike
Warriors.
other promotions in the early 1980s,
Could have been better, but
Georgia's
it
World
was good.
Championship Wrestling enjoys a prime-time spot on Atlanta's TBS, the first superstation to be broadcast across the entire USA.
I told the guys, I think it was 84, I said, we can work the whole world. We'll just make it our territory.
Paul would book us in the AWA, or he would book us for the Rougeaus up in Canada, go to Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon, and then go to the NWA, and then, you know, we were going all over the world, not tied to any one company.
Paul was very instrumental.
$5 million
in not
fine.
letting
What
the,
contract?
promoters manipulate us.
We were one of the few tag teams that were main events every night in the arena.
Cablevision.
We never stayed any one place, and it kept us fresh.
What the
and
hell?
it was always good because they'd bring us in, and the place would fill up. Everybody in the business
Okay, well
recognized
that's
that
rough,
Road Warrior
but
pop.
we'll be okay.
Loud. I've lost all my hearing.
Even today, if someone gets a good cheer going down the match, it's called the Road Warrior Pop.
At what point in your career did you realize that you guys were getting used?
Yeah, this was forever ago.
First trip to Japan, we got there, we got off the flight, we got to do an interview.
Just
In
for
this
like one
room
more
was
episode.
literally
Can't
150
believe that's $5 million,
photographers and
but okay.
reporters from all over the country of Japan. They said there was more reporters there than when Michael Jackson came over to Japan.
We will fight tonight like we will never fought before.
Well, Japan wanted us, and the Japanese people always like to be scared. You know, we're entertainers as well as wrestlers.
Hey, you guys hungry? You know, the Japanese responded to us because we were so far ahead of our time. We were so nothing like the Japanese wrestlers. We don't care who it is. We're going to stomp everybody in the country. I mean, we wrestled some top guys, man. You know, Killer Khan. When I pressed Killer Khan, Japanese people were like, what kind of nai? Like, I can't believe it. Killer Khan was 6'3", 6'4", 365 pounds. I press slammed him over my head, then I gorilla slammed him down.
It was national news.
Oh, yeah.
It was no secret that, you know, Mike liked to party.
Partied
no,
hard,
Hefner's
ran
divorced.
hard. There was nothing he wasn't afraid of. No situation bothered him. Mike got involved with these people. The Japanese mafia over there, they would pick him up and he would go out to dinner with them, and next thing you know, he wouldn't see him for 2 days.
He'd meet Japanese mafia over there, and he'd tell me about if you made a mistake over there, they just took a digit off of your fingers. And he'd come home with just stacks of $100 bills, which he declared.
I think Joe was more the guy that would rather, you know, go out to dinner and go to the room and get some sleep so you can get up and have a great workout the next day. Where Hawk, he was wild. He wanted to go out to the bar. He wanted to do this.
He had no shutoff valve to it, man. It was just like, go 100 miles an hour all the time. That's when it started hitting a nerve with me.
By 1986, the Road Warriors have become one of the top wrestling attractions in
Carmen
the world.
DeVille, my announcer, is dating
To
Booker
be
T.
that good in that many different territories, it's unprecedented. My vision was, of course, to make money, you know, for all of us. This is an opportunity that only comes along once in a lifetime.
Everybody out there watching, we'd like to kick your teeth in too.
My first reaction to seeing Mike and everything was, wow, this is amazing. And it just took you by surprise at how far he had come in such a short period of time, really.
As their popularity grows, the promotions booking the Road Warriors realize they're not just getting a run-of-the-mill tag team. They're getting rising stars with a guaranteed sellout crowd.
The greatest thing about the Road Warriors is that we never had to change who we were, whether we were babyface or heel. I mean, we were stone cold heels until we wrestled the Koloffs.
Probably some of the best matches that I remember are the Russian chain matches that we had against them.
And now we're getting USA cheers and cheers from the fans. We were over so bad as heels, it made us great baby faces.
Your winners of the match, the Road Warriors.
In early 1986, Carolina-based Jim Crockett Promotions approaches the Road Warriors with an offer to headline their flagship event.
Dusty Rhodes comes to us and he says, hey, we got this idea. A scaffold match. Had never been done on a national scale. Man, I was 310 pounds, 315 pounds, and Hawk was 270. Then you had both the Midnight Express up there, as they were over 200 pounds each. About 3 days before the scaffold match, Hawk broke a small bone in the bottom part of his leg over in Tokyo.
Oh.
We were the old school, the show must go on.
And he wrestled up there with a broken leg in a boot. You know, he didn't want to let the people down because it was sold out, and it was a big, big deal. Well, what you see in a lot of sports, and wrestling's no different, is there's injuries and there's pain, and you just self-medicate after a while. You don't even go to a doctor. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. And that's probably where Hawk was at that time.
So when and what signs did you start noticing when Hawk's lifestyle out of the ring was kind of getting a lot in?
It started getting bad latter part of NWA WCW run before we went to WWF. The drinking's a no-brainer. I mean, that's, you know, Hawk was a straight-up vodka on the rocks guy. The muscle relaxers were a big part. I would say
not a good combo.
85% of the guys that died early in the wrestling business, the common denominator was the muscle relaxers.
I think Joe was very disappointed in Hawk, and he didn't let that out so people knew it. But knowing Joe, I could see that.
I think it's just like any marriage, you know, which it kind of was, that I don't think they always, you know, saw eye to eye on everything. So I think there was, you know, some friction there at times.
It wasn't until we really got into WWF years where it really started to get bad.
The Road Warriors have conquered the wrestling world with one big exception. And the pressures of performing in the WWF will soon set the stage for their downfall.
WWF was always on our screen. It looked like they were the place to go in this wrestling war.
All right, y'all. So for 24 successful title defenses and a little over 9 months, Shane Douglas and Mick Foley have held the Universal Tag Team Championships, and they reunited it, kind of combined them with the World Tag Team Championships. And they've only got about 9 defenses of those. But, alas, the Road Warriors have returned. And Road Warrior Animal's going to take this one home. Definitely a bit of a rocket strap, right? Ooh. Who's it, Animal? Hawk? Okay. Well, no. We'll leave it at 14. Hawk can be tired. I think we'll be okay. Yeah. Oh, hey, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we'll leave it like this. Hawk can get a little tired. Animal's going to pick up the W anyway, so it'll work out. All right. Welcome back to the stream. But yeah, that's it for the Road Warriors match today. We will give them another promo, even though it didn't go wonderful the last time. But we'll give them another
We
one.
want to be on the winning side, and we did.
You're gonna feel the pain by the hands of the Legion of Doom.
Vince had just hired the modern day warrior, Kerry Von Erich. He already had the ultimate warrior. And he says, hey, I know you guys have been the Road Warriors. Can you think of a different name that we could use to call you guys? I said, how about the Legion of Doom? Oh, that's great. I love the Legion of Doom. Let's call you guys the Legion of Doom.
It was actually He-Man.
The most powerful man in the universe.
And Hawk would watch that all the time. He always watched He-Man. This was Hawk back at the Legion of Doom. And then he'd just start to make up stories. And this is while we're driving in the car. And he'd just start to make up that we were the Legion of Doom.
The WWF on the road at the time was a grind. And you were busy 14 days on, 4 days off, all year long.
So it's like your whole life is no sleep. But when you get in the ring, then all of a sudden you get an injury. Well, now there's no sleep. You have to train. That injury doesn't go away, and you have to perform. So now all of a sudden you take a pain pill. Pretty soon you're drinking, you're taking pain pills, you're taking this, you're taking that. That's kind of the cycle that a lot of guys got into.
But now, Hawk's downward spiral is about to intersect with the Road Warriors' historic climb to the top, and in front of a record-setting crowd.
To the non-wrestling fan, I wrestled for many years in the WWF. The Godfather is probably what I'm most well known for. All right, so we're in this club, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, Vince decides to take everybody's finish. In the Road Warriors case, it hurt people. Have you seen their finish? I wouldn't take it in the ring. Vince took that finish in the club. The CEO of this big fucking company is taking people's finishes in a fucking titty bar. I was like.
Just as the Road Warriors are reaching new heights at Vince McMahon's WWF, Hawk's substance abuse was becoming harder and harder to hide.
That's when we were starting to get in the age of doing the pay-per-views now, and now we're doing the big, huge events and everything else. So there was a lot of respect and a lot of pride in what you did for your work, because you wanted to be that guy that was going to be top dog on that pay-per-view. So those WWF years is when it started getting real kind of nasty. He would fail a drug test, and then there'd be 3 months off. And of course, me being a tag team partner, I'd take 3 months off with him.
But Mike, again, he wasn't shy about hiding anything. Whether it was, his drinking or his drug use or his steroid use. He was pretty outspoken about all of it.
As Hawk drifts closer to the edge, over 80,000 fans await their match at London's Wembley Stadium. And things are about to come to a head.
Wembley Stadium was a classic event because they had 90,000 people there.
We were supposed to wrestle for the tag team championships in Wembley Stadium, and getting ready to go out to the show. And we're doing a run through. Vince McMahon's trying to tell us what we're going to do. And I could just see where Vince is fuming. Because every time Vince tried to say something, Hawk's going, now Vince, I got this idea.
Did Animal have addiction issues? Not as much. Not as much. They talked about it a little bit ago, but they said, Animal was much more of a hit the gym, get your water, get hydrated, get to sleep, get ready to go on to the next town kind of a guy. Very much like that athletic like ambition. Whereas Hawk was a lot more of the like, well, what are we gonna do after? Where are we going? What bar? Where's the party spot at? I gotta get this. I gotta get that kind of a guy. Very different dudes in that respect.
Or like a hallucinogenic drug.
As far as
I took it, it lasts like for 6 hours. Here we are, got to drive motorcycles down to the ring. We went
steroids
from
go,
semi-main event match against the
I'll let
Natural
you,
Disasters to Wrestling
make the
Money
call there.
Incorporated, I think the first or second match.
As Animal watches his partner step into the ring, it's clear that Hawk is in no shape to perform.
Get in the ring, and they wanted us to do the finish, the Doomsday off the top rope and everything. I said, we can't do it. I said, he's going to fall off the top rope. And he goes, no, we got it. I said, look at him, he can't do it. They're watching him, and, Hawk was kind of like inebriated, quite a bit. And so we changed the finish. Hawk's like right in the middle. I kind of had to push him out of the way. And when Hawk was on, he was the best, man. Nobody was better. But when he kind of was like that, it kind of really, I wasn't very happy with him. I knew there was a suspension coming on, and I was freaking hot.
And it's like, we're gonna spend millions of dollars on TV and do all this stuff for these guys at Wembley. The biggest show ever, if he came in messed up, right there, you're not the top guys anymore.
Irritated by Hawk's recklessness, Animal chooses to go his separate way.
I mean, it is definitely easier to name guys that weren't on steroids than
Hershey, Pennsylvania,
for that period of time,
and
for
we got to
sure.
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Paul Ellering and I are ready to do TV, waiting for Hawk to do interviews. Well, Hawk hadn't shown up yet.
Nobody knew where Hawk was.
What do you mean?
Oh, he's just not on the plane. Nobody knew where Hawk was.
Got a phone call, and Hawk called Vince's secretary and said, hey, I quit. We're sitting there like, okay, now what am I gonna do?
Animal decides he's not gonna chase after his partner this time, after performing the role of fixer for so many years.
I think that it just got the time to draw the line in the sand and listen, man, shit, I've had enough. That's it. Frick, I'm done with this.
Joe's probably in a panic, wondering how in the world are we gonna solve this? Wrestling is your whole life. That's all you have. Your family's at home and you're with the guys and you finally get that push. And you can't have something be negative to bring you back down, and that's what was happening.
Mike kind of, the short fuse and losing his temper, and whether it was with the promoter, could have a real impact on Joe's career and even Ellering's career, right?
So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm gonna be a businessman and I'm gonna serve out the dates that I had left with WWF to protect our name in case we ever want to come back. I said, man, I want to do these dates, Mike, so we leave on good terms, right? To be businessmen. And I put my foot down, and Hawk was so out of his mind, he called up a couple guys and ended up working out his own deal in Japan. Like, screw the team.
He just went on his own, then we were done.
Well, he took the gimmick over there and had Kensuke Sasaki dressing up as the Power Warrior and all spiked shoulder pads and face paint. And I said, man, that's our gimmick.
Hawk inadvertently leaves the future of the world's biggest tag team in limbo by replacing Animal and continuing the Road Warriors brand in Japan.
Standing in front of you lies the future and tag team wrestling. My new partner, Power Warrior.
What are you doing, bro? I'm not doing that here in the U.S. I'm not having anybody replace you. I'm by myself. I ended up doing a 2-on-1 match, and I herniated a couple discs.
Animal got injured, and, there were like 2 years there were. I didn't do anything with wrestling anymore, and I didn't think I'd ever go back.
While Animal lies in wait, recovering from his injury, Hawk presses on. But without the guidance of his partner, he spirals out of control.
Like 3 different times he'd been rushed into an emergency room of drug overdoses. He told me a head-on collision with an 18-wheeler and rolled the pickup truck 6 times with no seatbelt on and walked away from it.
Holy shit.
I don't know how many near-death experiences Hawk had. I know he had a few. When he got Hep C, it's like he got slapped in the face. Like, wow.
He's not the first wrestler that had contracted that.
Guys in this wrestling business, man, used to do some crazy things, speedballing, mixing different drugs together, different things like that, where the old guys would share a needle and just go, oh, god dang, man, you guys are nuts. He was on the interferon, which is the medicine you get for Hep C. He freaking cured himself of the Hep C. But the worst part about it is the doctor gave him the green light to go do whatever he wanted to do. So he thought that meant, okay, I guess I could keep drinking and partying.
Hawk's wild side shows no sign of slowing down. But in 1997, a new opportunity arises from the WWF and is too tempting for either man to resist.
Vince McMahon has been great to us, and the WWF has been great to us. And they're a class organization, and we only want to associate ourselves with the class organization.
I knew eventually that it would come back to it was going to be the Road Warriors. We were so unique in the way we did everything, and we were so unique as a tag team, and like nothing else like it in the wrestling business.
Animal and I have become so close. We're probably the only tag team that's been around 14 years straight. We're pretty much a unit.
Their new contract comes with a strict insurance policy, guaranteeing they will make their matches. But WWF introduces a third member to the team, 29-year-old ex-Denver Bronco, Darren Drozdov.
They introduced Droz, and he was going to be like the youngest member of the Road Warriors.
Actually, I remember when I first saw them, they've been icons forever. Hey, this is Droz. I'm one of the players they brought in for the Road Warriors to work with, and had a great run with them.
While the WWF has enforced a contingency plan, it also sees the Road Warriors' real-life problems as something it can capitalize on.
Vince McMahon came to us and said, hey, we want to do this angle with you guys where Hawk's, we're going to portray him as drunk and having habits on TV.
I don't know if he's inebriated. The referee's not going to start this match, is he?
So yeah, you come out like staggering around. Why, they were saying I was trying to separate them.
But Droz is assaulting Hawk.
We don't need him, he's messed up again, so.
Droz delivering Hawk's own move to Hawk.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, but that's wrestling. They take the dominant part of your personality and they just make it bigger.
It's kind of tough. It's like, they're doing this, but he had been through it and he didn't have a problem with it.
They wanted Hawk to climb the Titantron, and they wanted me to, they wanted me to portray like, hey, Hawk, don't jump type of thing.
Hawk, I wish I could say I know how you feel, but I can't. But I care about your life.
Droz did a deal where they made pretend he was going to go up to the Titantron and help Hawk. And Hawk had all his demons and everything else, and he was drunk up there, and when he really went to go grab him, he really went and pushed him.
Get a shirt. What? God almighty.
To be honest with you, I didn't really have it in me to want to do the angle. It was too close to what was going on in real life.
Yeah.
And that bothered me.
That was a spicy angle.
The angle
for sure.
is not only unpopular with Hawk and Animal, but with the fans as well. And once again, the Road Warriors make the choice to hit the road on their own terms.
We were wrestling in Australia, and you got the beach, you got drinks, you can buy Xanax over the counter.
Went at a 96.
So it's just not a good mix. Rumor had it that 3 or 4 of the guys, and Hawk was one of them, had gotten a hold of some party essentials, let's just say. And they were pretty much up for 2 days.
Okay.
So when you're doing the coke,
tired
and
at the
you're
end.
doing the muscle relaxer,
Fully had a 100, dude.
Like a yo-yo. Your heart
That's kind of why I had to take the belts off of him.
As I'm looking around the arena,
I think I have to break up franchise and Foley.
I see this big crowd of people. I'm thinking to myself,
so
well,
good.
somebody just came back from the last match. They're just laying down. And I push everybody aside, and it's freaking Hawk. And they're putting the oxygen mask on. I said, whoa, what are you doing? I said, well, he's got to go out and wrestle. They said, man, he can't wrestle. He goes, this guy's about ready to stroke out. And they took him to the hospital. Hawk had cardiomyopathy, and his heart was about ready to blow up. And he calls me up and he says, Animal, you got to come get me. I said, what's going on, man? He goes, I am not dying in this freaking country. Hawk and I were literally, when we were on the road, we were brothers. It was a hard situation because there was such a love of the guy, but the hate of what was going on. So I went, picked Hawk up, checked him out of the hospital against doctor's orders, and from Sydney flew all the way to LA. And I said, from LA, he was going back to Tampa. I said, you're on your own now.
When it seems Hawk and Animal's run as wrestling's most dominant tag team is about to come to an end, an unlikely event brings them back together in a way nobody expects. Animal is faced with no choice but to strike out on his own when Hawk's drug affliction threatens to ruin both of their careers.
I had just gotten home off the road. We got done working out at the gym, and there's 6 300-pound guys called the Christian Power Team. They did this event, so I went to it, and I was pretty impressed by it.
Eventually, Joe shared that story with me, and I said, man, why don't you come out to this conference in Phoenix? Come on out. He goes, could Hawk come? They came to Phoenix, and I just remember Mike was the first one to the altar and wanted to make a decision to give his life to the Lord. And that weekend, we actually even baptized him. We did in the swimming pool, we did a water baptism with him.
And from that point on, Hawk lived in a good way.
I think he found religion, and then he married a gal named Jill, and he was very happy with her. He was a different person then with her.
Now my motivation is different than what it was when I first started out. My motivation now is my family, my fiance, to make sure that if something were to ever happen to me, she's not going to be hurt.
He used to say, cat has 9 lives, but God gave me 10 so I can give my life to Jesus. He was moving out of his house off the beach, and he had just moved the last piece of heavy furniture in the house for his wife, Dale. And he said, Dale, I'm going to go upstairs and lay down for a little bit. I don't feel well. And I was out in my backyard, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. A friend of mine, Bob Muller, and he goes, hey, you talked to Mike? I said, yeah, man, I talked to him last night. He goes, huh, have you talked to him yet today? And I said, no. And he goes, Joe, Mike died.
Damn.
It was an early Sunday morning, October the 19th, when the world of wrestling was saddened to hear that Michael Hagstrand had passed away at the young
Abby and
age of
Funk
46.
head out. Their
And it wasn't
freelance
that
contracts
he
are up.
OD'd or whatever, you know, it's just that his heart just stopped. It was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to go through.
Well, it was, you know, I was just at home, and Animal calls me up and tells me, you know, Hawk is gone. Joni, my wife, I said, we gotta get the, yeah, we gotta get the black van and drive to the funeral. The old black van that I took him to the airport in, our first day together. I still had that black van. Went to the Kmart and got cans of black spray paint, cover up all the rust. And we got in the black van and drove all the way to Tampa. 55 miles an hour. Got passed by 10,000 cars.
Do you remember what are some of the things that you said at the eulogy?
Yeah, I remember. October 19th, 2003. The dark clouds covered the bright sun. Today we lost our friend. Our brother of planes, trains, and automobiles. Many miles. If I could steal a line from the
Jerry
outlaw
Lawler
Josie
held down a
Wells.
peg.
Hawk, it is good
Crazy.
that men like us met in the struggle of life.
Hawk's death brings to an end a partnership that has not been matched in wrestling ever since. He was unique both in and out of the ring. A warrior, a partner, a friend, and a brother.
He wasn't Hawk.
Yeah. I think that is a key point, is
He was still Mike.
and
I never looked at him as
yeah,
Hawk.
yeah.
He really gave a shit about his friends. He just had your back. And he probably knew I needed it.
The biggest compliment that I can make to Hawk is that everybody liked to be around him. So it was a huge void. And Animal would know a lot more about that than me because they've been together and always thought of as a twosome.
Had a lot of things in common. I mean, the gym worked hard. They were a great tag team. They performed unbelievably in the ring. But, you know, totally different.
They were brothers. You know, brothers, they love each other. but they'll have a fight once in a while.
I mean, listen, man, there were times we were at each other's throat because we were together so much. But 99.9% of the time, there was no common respect there. It's over half my life, man, I was with Hawk. From being stars in Japan, to being family members, to being brothers, to everything else. You know, now what do? Now he's gone. And that's the hardest thing.
Well, I think we'll be remembered as the greatest tag team in professional wrestling, and I just like to go down as one tough dude that had one tough partner.
Hawk should be remembered as one half of the greatest tag team ever. He had one of the best punches in wrestling, one of the best interviews for sure.
Well,
Hawk was definitely a character. To be honest with you, a part of the wrestling business died when Hawk died.
Absolutely. It's a
When
shame.
I grew up, I wanted to be just like Owen Hart.
Wow, that's a throwback. Way back to the original episode we started the series with, Owen Hart. As you can see, he's moved up and down my roster quite a bit, but we are looking to, after we get Brett moving and up to the main event, we are looking to get Owen up there as well. He might pick that belt back up off of Taz. They are certainly not done telling their story. Taz and Owen, with the great ability they have to both have excellent chemistry as a team and excellent chemistry as opponents. Their story is certainly not done. Destiny's interwoven. Um, you know, we've got a few long time storylines going on right now, but a culmination of things will happen here in the next 4 or 5 episodes that we have to work with. I did officially sign Mike Graham, so we'll get the Graham episode next. We still have Randy Savage that we might be able to obtain. Just depends on his toxicity when that's going to go down. And we still have the possibility of doing the Brawl for All as well. I'll look into maybe doing a little bit of work with the editor on getting Steve Williams' contract just trimmed up a little bit, cut down a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, thank you all for joining me on this one, and follow, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Enjoy.